Welcome to the Club Room. My name is Mark Moyer, and I'm super excited to have you on board here. Thanks for joining us. And of course, we're brought to you by the Winning Academy. And just a quick little thing about me, of course. I've been coaching athletes and professionals and executives and all kinds of people for a long time, 20 plus years, and really helping them with their transition, whether if you're an executive from one career, one business to another, or if you're an athlete from your sport to what's next. And my mission and the mission here of the Winning Academy is to help all athletes and non-athletes really make that transition a lot smoother, whether it's learning about things like financial literacy, insurance, how to interview better, how to negotiate a better offer, how to keep your mental health in check, how to nutrition. I mean, there's so many different topics we cover here. If you're an athlete, and again, even if you're not an athlete or weren't an athlete, what I want to talk about is really figuring out how to discover what is your true identity? What is it that you would love to do next? You know, what is the dream job thing? What's going to get you really amped up? All right, that's my passion. Is I truly believe that everybody should wake up every Monday morning, every Tuesday morning, any morning, excited about what they do and fired up to go to work or to work at home, whatever you're doing, but to be doing that. Because again, if you're excited to do what you're doing, it's not going to be a job. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. So to me, everybody deserves to be doing that sort of thing. But I think, first of all, sometimes people say to me, well, Mark, you know, how good is the market though? That's the problem is right now it's COVID and this and that. It's a tough market. Well, to me, I say, look, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a great market or a crappy market, because at the end of the day, you only need one job. You don't need 100 jobs, 1,000 jobs. You only need one. And to me, look, most people, or too many people, settle. They settle. They say, Mark, you know, I just wanted a job. I'm going to get a job. I just wanted a job, the next job. No, don't settle. Instead, I believe that every minute you waste pursuing crappy jobs, you're out there answering ads and you're looking at, oh, I guess I can do that job. BS, man. Instead, you should focus every minute on chasing after and going after your dream job, that job that's going to get you fired up. And to me, if you invest that time that you're wasting settling for a job in pursuing your dream job, you'll be thrilled you did, and you'll get some amazing positive results. But before you go into all that actual job search stuff, it's really important to do kind of a career assessment and really think to yourself, well, all right, looking back, what is it I love doing? And what am I really good at doing? And how can I take all that stuff and really bring it into my next job, right? How can I bring all that stuff to work with me in my next gig? Well, to me, you should always set the bar high. You know, say to yourself, look, even though, gee, I don't have 3 to 5 years experience, do whatever it is, or even though I don't have blah, 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 who cares? Because I promise you, you know somebody who's gotten a job where you've said, oh my God, how'd that idiot get that job? Well, it happens every day. And it's only because they happen to be at the proverbial at the right place at the right time. But I say at the right place all the time. And there's, we can talk about that in a minute. But first of all, how do you figure out, all right, that sounds great, Mark, but what is, how do I figure out what is my true identity outside of sport or outside of what I'm doing now? And how do I figure out what is my, what is that? So number one, I always like to tell people to really put together what I call a PST, which is a personal strengths tracker. And what that sort of means is looking back through your career and your life and your whether it's an athletic career, professional career, whatever, and pull together what I would say are 10, 15, 20, 25, I don't want to say the word trophy moments, but accomplishments that you've done in your life that you really think, wow, that was awesome. So you get out a piece of paper, get out a pen, and write down those 10, 15, 20, 25. And write down things like, for example, and by the way, pick them from throughout the course of your life. So not just the last 2 or 3 or 4 years of your career, but throughout the course of your life. So maybe when you were 16, you made like a super amazing, sandcastle. And people said, oh, you should be an architect or something, but write down, made really cool sandcastle. Or maybe when you were 12 years old and you were, in the Boy Scouts, and you led a bunch of boys up a mountain and you found a really great path or whatever it was. Or maybe you were 26 and you helped your company save $10,000 on blah, blah, blahs or whatever. And, but just write down in your mind and then put it down on paper, all the things that you've done throughout the course of your life and your career that you are especially proud of, that had a positive result. Now, it doesn't need to be something that your family member is proud of or someone else is proud of. It's got to be you. So something that you yourself are proud of. I tell people all the time that, and this is like, I don't know how strange this sounds or not, but when I was in my early teens, or maybe like 12, 13, something like that, I used to love to get a piece of graph paper and actually create my own mazes, like a maze. And I'd have a pathway, blah, blah, blah. And then you fill in all the other stuff and make it super hard for people to figure out how to get through that maze. Now, I don't know, it was just something that I did when I was a kid and it was kind of cool. But then I'll never forget, and this is a lot of years later, that I actually taped together 9 pages of graph paper and 3x3. And I made this incredible maze going throughout that I promise you could not crack in a couple of days. I'm telling you, it was a challenge. Now, for some reason, that stands in my mind as one of my incredible accomplishments. I've done a few others, but for some reason that stands out. So that's what I want you to do, is write down, and maybe you split up your life in 5-year increments or something, and just write down some of the things that you felt really proud of that you accomplished. And then what I want you to do from there is take a look at those 20, 25 of them, and maybe pick the top 6, 7, or 8 of them and rank them or something. Don't rank them, but just pick them out and write a paragraph or 2 about each one of those. So for example, if it was you were a Boy Scout and you led a bunch of Boy Scouts up the hill when you were 12 years old, write about how you took on a leadership role and you relished that leadership role, and write down how you were sort of analytical enough, or to find the best route up the mountain, right? And then you were brave enough and so forth to lead them up that hill, and you were confident enough. And so write down all the different traits and all sort of like think about and write down, why did you do it? And then also write down, well, what skills, what elements of it, made it such a great accomplishment. Write those down. Also write down, how it ended, like how it went well and why. And, write down, why did it succeed? And I want you to write that stuff down for each one of these, 6, 7, or 8 of the top ones, because what you're going to find when you look at those is that there's common threads. There's common threads throughout each one of those that tend to sort of replicate over and over again. So I think when you're done with this exercise, you're going to find that out of those 6, 7, or 8, maybe 4 or 5 of them showed that you really thrived on being a leader. Or it might be that most of them showed that you thrived on being sort of part of a team, but you took command and you were able to run with it. Most athletes are fantastic being team members, obviously, and they're able to take direction, especially if they know that it's going to lead to a positive result. So again, think to yourself, well, all right, what are the common threads? And there might be other ones that suggest that you're really good at analysis, you're good at crunching numbers, or you're good at more qualitative sort of work or analytical stuff from that perspective, or you're good at, I don't know, it might even be something like, getting the most out of people. You're a strong motivator, that sort of thing. Or maybe it turns out you're really comfortable with public speaking, which leads to PR and all those kind of things. But again, make that list of all the things, the common threads that come from those things. And what I want you to do then is really think to yourself, all right, so I've made that list, I've done all that stuff. Now what, Mark? Well, what I want you to do is think about how to incorporate all of those things, those common threads, into that next job that you pursue. Because it just makes perfect sense, right? If you do a new job, if you go work at a new job that incorporates all the things that you've been successful at in your past, and you've, that created all these great accomplishments. So it might be, again, a leadership scenario. It might be something where you're analytical. It might be something that you were really strong with budgets and numbers and so forth. Or it might be something that you were able to demonstrate to a team a way to save lots of money, whatever it was. You know what? Make sure, maybe even be creative stuff, or maybe have been when you were making that sandcastle when you were a teenager and you demonstrated really a strong design and, again, architectural skill set or something. But you're going to find that if you incorporate all that stuff into your next role, just by common sense, you're going to be much more successful. You're going to be happy. You're going to be engaged, and you're going to basically crush it. And what I like to tell people also is that when you're pursuing a job, people tend to think, well, is it really going to make me happy? And if it does, am I going to get paid well and all that sort of thing? Well, look, the money will always follow. The money follows the success, and the success follows the fact that you are doing something that you're good at, something that you're bringing all these skills and capabilities to the table, to your new company, and you're crushing it. So anyway, that's part of that personal strengths tracker, the PST, is really doing that career assessment exercise and really thinking to yourself, looking back throughout your life, all right, what are the things that I've been really good at? Let's make a list of accomplishments and then pull from them those common threads that you want to bring into your next position. So, all right. And I'm whacking through this stuff real quick. Hope you're staying with me. But I want to touch on one other thing before we jump back to the event and so forth. And that's the whole concept of developing a target list. And what I mean by that is that now you've decided or seen that, okay, I can be really good at doing this, this, and this. And I think in my next job, I want to make sure I incorporate that stuff. But then, what on earth do I do? What does that mean? Am I going to be like a fireman or in fashion or in music or in finance or real estate or whatever it is? Well, if you think to yourself, well, back either when you were an athlete or even not an athlete, but you were working, did you have any secondary interests that you really enjoyed doing? So for example, it might be if you were an athlete and you were doing stuff in finance or in accounting, or in insurance or in health or in nutrition or in, again, real estate, investing in real estate, whatever it is. Well, if you're dabbling in that stuff and you show an interest in it, that's something you can consider doing going forward, especially if you can bring forward with you a lot of those common threads that we talked about in the career assessment looking backwards. But at the same time, it's funny. I think that most people tend to oftentimes downplay some of those secondary interests, but there's a reason you're doing them. You really love doing them. They're fun to do. And, if you're interested in photography, well, why not then consider being a photographer, for a print magazine or a newspaper, whatever it might be, or a website, et cetera. Now, the other thing is that, when you're, I think that most people, when they look at those interests and so forth, they are, oh, Mark, I'm just doing that while I'm doing this other stuff and so forth. But I've seen so many people. I'll give you a quick example. A friend of mine, he was at a bank where he was a lawyer with his bank, and he called me up one day and he said, Mark, I'm doing well at what I do. I'm making some good money. I'm really happy with the money. And I like the people I work with. And I'm kind of like, you're calling me why? That sounds great. He says, well, I'm just not motivated. I'm not excited. I don't really see how in 2 years or something, I'm really going to be happy about, I'm not going to be fulfilled. Right. And I knew that this guy had a big, strong interest in the outdoors, and he loved being outside and, doing like cross country skiing, all that kind of stuff. So I said to him, look, why don't you just go work at being a lawyer, but be a lawyer at like a Patagonia or Rossignol skis or something that he could transfer his legal skill set, which he loved doing. He actually still enjoyed that, but bring that into something that he really was excited about, the outdoors. And he was like, he stopped for a second. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, what? He says, well, I never even thought of that. And I said, well, that's fine, but that's what you can do. You can transfer your strengths and the things that you're good at doing into that secondary interest, something you love doing. And sure enough, he ended up going to interview and worked got a job at the World Wildlife Fund because he's a big environmentalist and so forth. So that's the kind of thing that you can do too, is if you're, working in accounting or something at a company that you're just not really in love with, well, there's nothing wrong with being an accountant somewhere else, but someplace that you really love to work for. I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and I'll never forget the episode when George Costanza got a job with the New York Yankees. And Jerry was like, what? And he said, but he decided to, well, first of all, maybe it's not a great example, but assistant secretary to the traveling secretary, whatever he was. But the point being that even he got that job, right? So you can definitely reach for the stars kind of a thing. And I always tell people, even if you can't make it to way up here, you're reaching much higher than you would be if you're just settling for something. So just to take a quick step back and rewind the tape a little bit, number one is don't worry about how good or bad the market is. You just need the one job, and you want the one job that's going to make you fulfilled, excited, happy, because you're going to be tremendously successful doing it. Number two is really, set the bar high. And again, we just talked about that. But using that personal strengths tracker, PST, by really figuring out, by using that career assessment exercise, what is it that you love doing that will really drive you to succeed? Make that long list of your accomplishments, and then whittle them down to 6, 7, or 8 of them, and then pull from those the common threads that really drive through all of them, that really indicate what you're really good at. And then from there, it's all about developing a target list. And what I mean by that is think to yourself, all right, so now I know like some of the things that I'd be really happy doing, but what kind of companies would I love to be at? And then make a list of, for argument's sake, 30 or 40 companies or entities or organizations that you would love to work for. So if it's something like, if you want to be in sports and you list, New York Yankees or Oakland A's or whatever it is, or baseball, football, softball, whatever, hockey, etc. Or if it's in finance and you list, the top 30 or 40 financial institutions you'd love to work for, or law with law firms, whatever it is, make a list of those companies, like the dream companies you'd love to be at. And then think to yourself, all right, well, if I got like a blank check to go work for Nike, let's say, or Bank of America, or whatever it is, well, what job would I love to do? What would it be that I would be thrilled doing, right? And so it might be 4 or 5 jobs that you would love to have in a company, senior marketing director, or, financial analyst or equity analyst, or, chief legal, whatever it is, counsel, or, overseas, correspondent or something, whatever it is. Make the list of those jobs. And now that you've got a list of those jobs, maybe 5 jobs at each company, and a list of 40 companies you'd love to be at, you now have, simple math, folks, 200 jobs you would love to be in. 200 jobs you would love to be in. There's at least 200 jobs out there that you would love to be in. Well, now all you got to do is realize that at any given moment, there's 5, 10, 15, or 20 of them that are actively looking for somebody in that role. I promise you. So now you've got a target list of companies and jobs, and now it's all about networking your way into those companies and meeting the people that can meet you and say, you know what? You've got enough of the background and the intangibles and the skills that we need to bring you in here. And even though you don't have 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years experience doing that stuff, who cares? They want to hire you because they've met you, because of the networking that you're doing and the way you approach them. And that's a topic for another day. But now I wanted to get you to the point where, number one, you get some ideas of some of the stuff that you'd love to do next. And then 2, it's developing that target list of companies and jobs that you think you'd love to be a part of. And look, if it's not, you don't want to go work for a company, but you want to start your own business, well, then make a list of the types of businesses you think, oh man, I'd love to be doing that. And then maybe, more specifics about it, because there's all kinds of people out there that would want to know more about a business you want to start. So obviously I can go on forever and ever about this, but I should probably stop right now. But listen, reach out to me anytime, Mark Moyer, and the Winning Again Academy, and here in the club room for much more information about how to really take your business and your career to the next level. Would be thrilled to tell you some of the steps that you can take to really crush it going forward. Because again, my expertise is career and business coaching. Your expertise is what you're good at doing. And so I'm happy to share some of my knowledge with you to get you to that next step. So thanks for being here today. I really appreciate your time. I look forward to getting to know you much better going forward, and all the best. Go get them. Thanks for being part of the Clubroom event today. It's been great having you on board. Check out all the resources available to the Win Again Academy. Go to the website, markmoyer.com, and you'll see all the previous events, podcast episodes, articles, and so much more. Check it out. And look, if you're an athlete, if you're an entrepreneur and a founder, or an executive looking to elevate your game and really take your business and your career to a whole new level, consider becoming a Win Again Academy member. We'd love to have you on board because you get access 24/7 to an incredible Slack community of other members where you can really elevate your network and meet some really impressive people. You'll also get a personalized copy of my book, Win Again, the job search handbook for athletes and non-athletes looking to really transform their life and their career. You'll also get seamless entry into the Clubroom events. And these events are absolutely amazing. Table-to-table networking, conversations with everybody at your own pace. It really is fun, but also incredibly great for your network. You got to check those out. You'll also get discounts to future VIP events that we've got lined up. So consider joining, be a part of this community, be a part of that Slack channel, come to these events. You'll meet some amazing people. Go to markmoyer.com/join-today and take advantage of all the things that you have to offer for an incredibly, incredibly great price. Check it out. We'd love to see you there, and see you in the Clubroom soon. Thanks.